Welcome to another episode of 9 to 5 Mac Weekly, where I think after today, that Apple leaker tier list, some things need to be moved around a bit. I am your host, Miles Somerville, and let's dive into the news and talk about the event that Apple announced today. Apple just took some of us by surprise and announced a virtual event for next week, September 15th, and based on trusted sources, it seems as though this is only going to be for announcing the iPad Air 4 and Apple Watch Series 6, not the iPhone 12 models or the new Silicon iMac or MacBook Pro or AirPod Studio or any of that stuff, simply just the Apple Watch Series 6 and iPad Air 4. Tim Cook himself said that the iPhone would be arriving later than usual this year, so this all kind of adds up. But let's dive in and talk about everything we know, or at least everything we think we know, about this new iPad Air 4 and Apple Watch Series 6. The iPad Air 4 is shaping up to be one of the best value tablets you can get your hands on. Firstly, the design based on leaked documentation is going to be nearly identical to the 11-inch iPad Pro, minus the LiDAR scanner and the quad speaker setup. We should still expect the same flat edge design as the iPad Pro, with the smart connectors on the back for use with perhaps a new keyboard, or just to use the existing Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil for the iPad Pro. We're also expecting to see Touch ID implemented in the power button instead of Face ID like on its bigger brother, the iPad Pro. The display is rumored to come in at 10.8 inches, which is slightly smaller than the 11-inch iPad Pro. And a commenter on 9 to 5 Mac pointed this out, thinking that this is because the iPad Air is going to have slightly thicker bezels than the 11-inch iPad Pro. And I think that makes perfect sense, because if the iPad Air is supposed to use the exact same accessories as the current 11-inch iPad Pro, aka the Magic Keyboard or Smart Folio cover, then it essentially has to have the exact same dimensions as the current 11-inch iPad Pro, aka the same general footprint, because if it's slightly smaller, you're going to have some case hanging off your iPad. And as the 11-inch iPhone, the cheaper alternative to the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max, has slightly thicker bezels than its Pro counterparts, I think that's going to be the same case here with the iPad Air in comparison to the iPad Pro, which I think for most people is going to be plenty fine. I'm sure me using a tablet, that's not going to be something I really care about, especially given the decrease of bezels we're already getting. This is already such a really important redesign for the iPad Air. Other than the redesign, one of the biggest changes we expect to see on this new iPad Air 4 is the adoption of USB-C. Also seen in this leaked manual, and just based on the fact that it has the same iPad Pro-esque design, I can confidently say that we should expect USB-C to be coming to the iPad Air this year. And once that happens, we should look to the next models to adopt USB-C, aka the traditional iPad and the iPad mini, because USB-C all the things. And this is also very interesting / exciting because with USB-C in the iPad Air 4, depending on how Apple adopts it into this tablet, assuming it's the same as the iPad Pro as far as functionality, we should be able to hook up the iPad Air to, let's say, an LG Ultrafine display and have like an actual desk setup running off of an iPad Air, which is pretty much going to be a first for the tablet. We don't have any substantial pricing information just yet, but the last generation iPad Air was priced at $499, so even if it's just $50 or maybe even $100 more than that, I'd say we're still looking at a pretty killer tablet for the money. It's not going to have a high refresh rate display most likely, like the iPad Pro, and that's probably the biggest downside when comparing the two in my opinion, but I think if you just want a nice full screen tablet, specifically an iPad, with second generation Apple Pencil support, then this is going to be pretty hard to beat. I'm excited to test this out. SRB says, the biggest feature is an increase of 0.2 inches. I hope not. We still hope for a better, brighter display, ProMotion, etc. Well, firstly, it'd be an increase of 0.3 inches because the current generation iPad is a 10.5 inch display. But yeah, I hope the display in general is improved and not just, getting the iPad Pro bezel treatment. It would be nice for the display to get brighter. I don't think ProMotion is in the cards because, it's called ProMotion. You would figure they would save that for the iPad Pro, give you a reason to spend the extra money on that tablet instead of getting the Air. But I mean, if they threw it on there, I would definitely not complain. R. Gomez Photos says, I love my 9.7-inch iPad Pro. It's been an amazing performer, but if the iPad Air came out with slimmer bezels and a USB-C connection, it would convince me to upgrade. I understand why Apple wants to keep Lightning around, but the less different types of cables I have to carry around with me, the better. Yes, I 100% agree, and I think at least within the next 2 years, the majority of Apple's devices will all have USB-C. The iPhone is still a bit of a question mark, but me personally, I could totally do without Lightning. USB-C, all the things. Aaron says, new iPad Air. Simply swipe up and hold your finger on the lock button to unlock, but don't press it too hard because then it will lock. I hope they don't use the Touch ID lock button or find an elegant solution. I don't want to have to reach up awkwardly and press on the side whenever I unlock my screen, ... Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't really get why Apple didn't just put Face ID on this new iPad Air, but I think Apple should be able to find a nice way to implement Touch ID into the power button. I hope so. iPod Craze says, the leak screen is 10.8 inches, so the bezels are going to be a bit thicker than on the 11-inch model. I mean, that could be the case, and I could see them totally doing that, where it's kind of the same thing where on the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, those have slightly thinner bezels than on the iPhone 11, just the same as the XS and XS Max did, and the XR had those thicker bezels. I could see that happening, or maybe the iPad Air just has a smaller footprint and hence has a smaller display. Now moving on to the Apple Watch Series 6, it doesn't look like this is going to be a substantial update by any means. As far as the design, it looks like it's going to be pretty similar, if not identical, to the Series 5, which is a bummer. I always like looking at new and shiny things, but I don't think anyone really had any general complaints about the Series 5's design, outside of the people who never liked the Apple Watch design to begin with. I always thought it'd be cool to see Apple do a larger version of the Apple Watch, like a 48 or 50 millimeter. I think that'd be interesting to see, but I wouldn't expect anything radical like that to happen this year. Now, while the design for the Series 6 may not be that different from the Series 5, at least according to rumors, we should probably expect a new color and material option. Last year, Apple introduced the titanium finish option for the Series 5, and that was cool, I guess. So I think Apple should definitely bring out something like that again this year, especially if there's going to be essentially no visual difference between the Series 5 and 6. The Series 6 is also looking to strip away some features that you might have come to love in previous versions. Yep, watchOS 7 is looking to remove Force Touch from the Apple Watch as far as the software functionality aspect of it. But this means that the hardware to support Force Touch is likely going to be removed from the Apple Watch Series 6, meaning it could be thinner, or you could improve the battery life on it, because everyone who purchased Series 5, or at least upgraded to a Series 5, is aware of the battery loss that you're getting with that always-on display. So freeing up some space for a bigger battery in the Series 6 might be the perfect fix that Apple needs to solve that battery issue, or at least battery drop, that they had with the Series 5. As far as software, there's of course going to be some new features with the Series 6, because Apple wants you to stay as healthy as possible, so you can buy more products. The biggest feature we're hearing rumors of is support for blood oxygen detection. This feature is supposed to work similar to the heart rate detection feature, where it notifies you if your blood oxygen levels are below the norm. watchOS 7 is also going to include sleep tracking features, so we should expect to see that on the new Apple Watches as well, with maybe some new features made specifically for the Series 6. Now that's pretty much all we know as far as the Series 6, but it's been reported that Apple's planning to launch a lower-end replacement for the Apple Watch Series 3. We don't know much about it, but we're hearing that it's going to have a similar design to the Series 4 and 5, with some of the flagship features stripped away for a more affordable price. I think this is a very smart move for Apple, as I know they probably sold a ton of those Apple Watch Series 3 watches when they brought the price down to $199 and $229. Yeah, I think this should be an easy slam dunk for them, and my bet is that this will probably outsell the Series 6. That's pretty much going to be it for this one. I will say definitely keep it locked to 9to5mac.com, as well as this YouTube channel. Subscribe with that bell notification turned on, because this month in October are going to be quite eventful. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like I said, and I'll talk to you in the next one.